Hey guys, welcome to another video of Reading with PJ. Today another Quebec story in the Railfan and Railroad magazine. Come on, let's go do some reading. Hey, welcome back guys. Okay, let's get into this article. This is in the Railfan and Radio February 2002 edition. It's going to be talking about Hervey Jct, which is a place just north of, northeast of where I am at in Joliette. And here we go. Hervey Jct. Conventional railroading is alive and well in this remote Quebec backwater. George Pitters. Backwater, a place remote from the center of activity. The term may often be used in the pejorative sense, yet a backwater is inextricably linked with nostalgia, a major component in the railfan hobby, and thus such locales are eagerly sought out by our fraternity. One such area is the Canadian National Line up the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, from Montreal to Hervey Jct, Quebec, encompassing the Joliette, Lac-Saint-Jean, Latuc subdivision. Beginning in Canada's second largest city and stretching to penetrate the wilderness of northern Quebec, this area has several qualities that are reminiscent of the bygone days of railroading. Before delving into some of these attributes, let's define the area and the lines which serve it. The Joliette sub begins at Pointe aux Trembles in the northwestern outskirts of Montreal and heads northeast, paralleling the course of the St. Lawrence, although not closely. It continues along the flat plain of the river for some 88 miles, passing through its namesake city and terminating at Garnoyard in Saint Georges across the Saint Maurice River from the city of Grand-Marais. Grand-Marais is funny, it means grandma in English. Because Grand-Marais in French is grandma in English. That's the name of the place. I'm not lying. There's also a place called Latuc. That means the toque. Okay, back to the story. While most of this trip is in fact on the river bottom, a notable exception is the crossing of the Mastinongé River at Saint-Ursule. In the provincial park, the river plunges through a series of waterfalls, while the railway crosses the head of the gorge on one of the highest trestles in eastern Canada. Another interesting feature of the line is a 610-foot tunnel just west of Shawinigan. The Lac-Saint-Jean sub starts at Garnoyard and extends 203 miles to Arvida. Named for the large lake at its northern end, this subdivision exists primarily to connect with the Roberval and Saguenay Railway, to tap the products of the huge aluminum industry centered in the area. Forest products understandably play a large role in this line's tonnage as well. For the first 19 miles to Hervey Jct, the line continues the bucolic course of the Joliette sub, but shortly after leaving Hervey Jct, the line dives into the forest and travels most of its length without encountering much civilization before entering the Jonquière-Arvida area. The electric sub begins at Cap Rouge on the north shore of the St. Lawrence River, on the southern end of Quebec City. This line angles southwest to much of the same type of farming territory that the other two lines encounter, until it reaches Hervey Junction, where it crosses the Lac Saint Jean subdivision and turns sharply northwest, headed for its namesake town. Finally, the end of the subdivision at Fitzpatrick, originally part of the National Transcontinental Railway. Fitzpatrick is the only terminus of the electric subdivision, for the track continues to Santai and beyond. Leaving Hervey Junction, this line, like the Lac Saint Jean, cuts through very remote and heavily forested territory. So, now knowing the basic geographic area, what makes this a backwater? Well, for the first part, the answer is easy. A scant 30 miles to the east and across the St. Lawrence River lies CN's busy transcontinental main line, which easily moves triple the volume of the lines to the north. When service is interrupted on the main line, an adequate detour route is established using all three of these subdivisions. But given their normal operations, one could fairly say that these lines constitute a backwater. The second part of that answer comes in two areas, although both are strongly tied to the passenger train that plies the route. This up one day, back the next service is regularly assigned to a via small remaining fleet of FP9s. While occasionally one or two F-40s may replace the FP9s, the regular power will be a pair of Elephant-style 6300 series cab units. The places where one can view these rare veteran units in regularly scheduled service are indeed few and far between, and is a nostalgic throwback to the earlier halcyon days of diesel passenger service. The delivery of 21 GE P-42-9 DCs beginning in November 2001 will spell the end of the F units on these trains, as F-40s are cascaded down into secondary service. The second scent of nostalgia is more subtle and, for me, perhaps personal. In today's world, unless one is a regular commuter, transportation by rail is not a major consideration for the public at large. But there was a time when the arrival and departure of a passenger train was a major event in the daily life of a town. That sense of importance is long gone in many areas, but it's clearly evident at every junction. You just know the train is imminent. Passengers and onlookers begin to trickle in. The traveling via agent wheels into the station, baggage is loaded on the carts, and wheeled onto the platform. This train supplies many remote sporting camps, and all manner of things are stacked on the platform for loading into the baggage cars, from lumber and furniture to dogs and cages. The train eases up to the station, and there is a general sense of urgency as the materials are loaded or unloaded from the baggage cars. Goodbyes and greetings are exchanged, and the train whistles off and quickly accelerates away. As it pulls away, I am fondly reminded of the days when I worked such a station, selling tickets, handling baggage, and reporting the OS to the dispatcher, all while hearing the agent clumping around in his lodgings overhead. Indeed, it was a pleasant trip back in the time whenever I watched this scene. How much activity might one expect to find on these three backwater subdivisions? First and foremost, there's the passenger train. The northbound Abitibi. That's a song. Is due out of Montreal's Central Station at 8 a.m. on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Due at Saint-Ursule about 10:25 a.m., Shawinigan at 10:58, and Hervey Junction at 11:45. Normally, the train is made up of two units, a coach, two baggage cars, and two coaches. Arriving at Hervey Junction, the train is split. One unit, a coach and baggage car, become the Saguenay, departing at 11:55 for Jonquière on the Lac Saint-Jean sub. The other unit and the remaining baggage car and two coaches continue on to Saint-Aire as the Abitibi at 12:15 p.m. The entire process is reversed on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays, when the trains are combined at Hervey and depart for Montreal at 1:40 p.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and at 6:40 p.m. on Sundays. Freight operations in the area are centered on the yard at Garneau, located in Saint Georges, across the river from the quaintly named city of Grammy. Like I said, grandma in English. The yard was built in the 1960s and includes a facility for servicing and light locomotive repairs. Power in the area can be anything on the CN roster. Yeah, Garneau is really good. If you want to go see CN, sometimes they have like CN Blue units, they have Norfolk Southern units. It's kind of a mix and match of all the roster. It's really cool. Garneau is a crew change point for through trains, and several local and turn jobs originate and terminate here. Like any schedule, train times are subject to change, but a brief synopsis of freight operations at Garneau is shown in the sidebar. More work is performed on the through trains than a simple crew change, and for backwater there is more than sufficient activity at Garneau to keep a railfan occupied. Railfan in these subdivisions can be challenging. The Joliette sub is especially difficult to chase, as the roads do not follow the straight line of the railroad. A more productive strategy for this line is to select the location and wait. Saint-Ursule Falls is highly recommended. It is reached by taking Route 348 west from Louisville. Take an immediate left after crossing the second set of tracks on Route 348 and you'll be in the provincial park that contains the falls. The overhead bridge next to the classic stone station in downtown Shawinigan is another excellent vantage point. That's true. The station in Shawinigan is really nice. The Lac Saint-Jean sub from Garneau to Hervey Junction is much more accessible, and numerous junctions are available by following Route 153 through the towns of Saint-Tite and Saint-Tech. Some prudence is required passing through these small towns, but it is possible to chase a train. South of Saint-Tite, there is a large open field which affords a good view of all trains. The Latsuk sub may be reached at a number of points, but it is difficult to follow closely. On Route 352 south of Saint-Tite, approaching Saint-Adelphe, there is an impressive trestle which the Quebec City turn frequently crosses en route to Garneau around noon. All this territory is dispatched from Montreal under track warrant authority, except for a section of CTC at Hervey Jct. Monitoring the dispatch at 161.415 can be very helpful. But this is Quebec, and almost all conversations are conducted in French. A good local map, such as Cartotex Mauricie Carte de Québec edition, available in most convenience stores in the area, is highly recommended. Food and lodging are plentiful, and the current exchange rate is very favorable toward the US dollar. Remember, this is 2002, guys, also. If you're looking for something other than a constant parade of trains, in a setting more reminiscent of the 1950s rather than 2002, find a backwater. I can recommend a good one. Yeah, the trains are kind of elusive, but if you have the patience and stuff, yeah, it's a good sub. Especially around Garneau and Shawi. Good spot, good spot. Yeah. And here's pictures. That is the Shawinigan station. Ja, visual show. Very cool. Very cool. Well, thanks for listening, guys. Take care, and I'll see you next time.